She's a noted author and speaker, and she has been described by quote as probably the most respected leader in the American peace movement. Cathy has travelled to Iraq 26 times, at last count, 26 times, including visits to combat zones during the very early days of both US-led wars in Iraq. Notably, Cathy has also been arrested more than 60 times. Brian, I don't know what Brian's record is. Mark, how many times has Brian? 28. Wow, congratulations, Cathy.
Exemplary thing. We need so much right now. These occupations are happening and they're great. But if somehow questions could get injected that ask not just how do we get a redistribution of jobs and salaries or go back to where we were when people were better off, but what kind of work? What kind of productivity? If our work is to make and develop and sell and store and use weapons of mass destruction, if our work is to help create these proliferating robotic weapon systems, they now are crowing over and created the Switchblade. It's a drone that you can put in your backpack. Anybody ever see the movie Clockwork Orange? Is that what we want to give to the next generation? So I think it's time to kind of put on the pedal that says brake and slow down, take more leisure time, and think about where we're going, and then how can we place more leverage on the people who do have an ability to have so much power concentrated in their hands right now. The world's only other superpower, public opinion, I don't think has disappeared. We just don't always exercise our opinionated capacities. I have to say that when I was in prison, both maximum security and minimum security, I met women who could have been my next door neighbors, my co-workers, my sisters-in-law. My family members weren't crazy about hearing that, but I don't know where they keep the bad sisters. I don't know where they keep the bad sisters. I really was very troubled leaving the prison. I felt like I was leaving the scene of a crime or some kind of hit and run thing, and I really learned more during that time when I spent a year in prison than I had since the time when I was 5 and learned how to read. So I feel very indebted to the women who taught me so much, and I think it is important for people to try to understand what happens to people who are impoverished. And you can go into a prison as a chaplain or a social worker and you can understand a lot, but you can understand even more, I believe, if you've got 8 numbers just like everybody else. You're never going to feel the stigma and the guilt that women feel with the sorrow of being separated from their children for 8 and 10 years now in the United States quite commonly. But I do think that it is a way. And I mean, you know, some people have professed Christianity, and none of the disciples, except one, died of old age, and almost all of them went to prison. I think about Nelson Mandela, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and Mohandas Gandhi, and Ghaffar Khan, and numerous people who entered into the prisons, and it seems to me that it's a lot more onerous, really, to contemplate sending our young people off to war zones where they might kill another person or be killed, or come back eyeless or legless or armless, where they might come back so traumatized that they can never have a normal life again. And so for some people to go off to prison for a short span of time because they wanted to stand their ground and say, I believe in nonviolence and peace, seems to me to be sort of rational in a sense.
But I want Di to talk about what happened for her and the aftermath when she sat on that roof of the yacht club. How did that feel to you, though? Was that a time of hope, a time of failure, a time of despair?
I did what I did without thinking too much about the consequences. I did what I did because of my aim. My aim, like a lot of you, and you as well, Brian, as an activist at that time, putting yourself in that situation to be arrested, to be thrown in the lockup. I did because I believed in what I was doing, and a lot of other people as well. So it wasn't just me. We had a petition of about 10 or 11,000. When there was a lot of adrenaline, I think, involved in that, because I don't think I'd actually climb a ladder now. But you never know. If it was serious enough and I believed enough, I'd probably do it. But I think at the time there was no thought of what would happen to me. It's if I could do something that would trigger a response to redress what was happening, then it would be worth it. The fact that it didn't change the decision that had been made didn't make me feel, that I'd failed. It just made me felt unhappy that we couldn't change the course of nature. But I think when putting my case forward in the courts and in front of the council, the issue around civil disobedience is a very strong and legitimate reason to do things, and because there's great people that have gone before us, and me, and the suffragettes is one that Kathy just mentioned,